Alright, it's February 7th, or February 8th, 2015, and this is the third time we've sat down, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the third time we've sat down to just talk with Professor Cates, who, for those who are watching that don't know that, this is also my dad, and lifelong martial arts instructor, and not all that well known to too many people. Also my philosophical instructor, if you will. I refer to it as being brought up with Eastern philosophy, so to speak. And I wanted to kick the conversation off first with by telling you that I've done a lot of reading at the same time. I've done the reading in parallel, the stuff that you used to more or less assign me to read and then ask me questions about later. Book of Five Rings, and and so forth. And even Machiavelli letters.
Letters to a Prince.
Letters to a Prince. Professor used to hand me books and say, "Here, read this." And about a week or two later, he started asking me questions, and we discussed those books. And it's happened. An awful lot of reading happened. Anyway, I've done more reading even on my own about Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, and so forth, which is something you've told me that I am at various points during my life, which I don't know, I never grabbed any titles and said I'm this or that. But what I wanted to comment on is that in all of my reading, it's all extremely familiar, because it's all, I read these books by these folks, and they sound like I was talking to you about it again. All the way from the 12th century all the way up to current times. That book I just got you, that Brad Warren fellow. Anyway, I wanted to know, I'm asking a question I actually don't really know the answer to, so it'll be interesting to hear. Like, where did you develop, you taught meditation, you used to, for those who are interested, you would coach meditation and so forth, including me, throughout the years. And where did a lot of that come from, or how did you end up in that place? Because you started off life living in schools, Catholic schools, and then you came to the end of that, and then there's a gap of information, and then next thing you know, you're in the military in Okinawa, playing judo and living on the island, and the in-between of how you transition from being around a bunch of Christian folks and ending up fully steeped in Eastern practice.
Well, religiously, I'm probably an enigma in that I don't hold to the idea of structures for religion. That has nothing to do with the fact that most people do. That's their choice. And I don't mean to be facetious on this, but I like to refer to myself at times as a recovering Catholic. I come from a home life that was not at all like the all-American norm of my time. I was exposed to an awful lot of different cultures. I didn't, until my stepfather came along and I was in my teens, I didn't ever have a place that I really called home. My grandmother, during my early ages until I was 7 years old, was probably my only influence on the philosophy of life and the philosophy of religion. Now she was a Catholic, but she had been brought up, she had been born in Holland. She had been a registered nurse and had worked all over Europe. Then she and her husband, and they moved to Dutch Suriname. And then they moved to Ghana. And they traveled and lived in some very, very primitive and backward places. But she's a educated woman in that she spoke several languages fluently. And she was, during my very early age, she was probably my biggest influence as far as my, quote, religious background went. I was either fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to have had most of my schools that I went to were Jesuit boarding schools. Those of you that study religions or that know anything about religions, the Jesuits are the teaching order of the Catholic Church. They believe in discipline. You have to take a look at their history and you find that they're the ones that ran the Inquisition. They're also the ones that spread the religion by the sword. After spending 6 years with the Jesuits, by the time I grew through high school and college and went in the Marine Corps, boot camp was like a vacation. There's nothing they could do to me in the boot camp that the Jesuits hadn't already done. Now, I do have a fondness for the Dominicans, the Franciscans, the Passionistics, and many of the other sects of the Catholic religion. But I like to joke about the fact that in parallel with being with the Jesuits, we had nuns for actual teachers. And they all, in my estimation, they could be labeled as the Sisters of Perpetual Guilt. I think I lost my idea of structured and big temples and big churches and all that in New York. St. Patrick's Cathedral was a beautiful place, but I didn't get anything out of it as far as religion goes. St. Stephen's was a huge boarding school. It was just like being in a prison. They had a huge cement wall all the way around the playground or veranda with a great big steel double door on it that would open up once a day, and the fresh laundry or the food would come in through that door and they would close it up. It just pretty much exactly like being in a prison. And we stood in formation at 5 o'clock in the morning so we could make early mass. I remember that, I was 6, 7, 8 years old.
Hey, second, Dad, can you